everybody. I'm Penny Hunt, and this is Penny Heart to Heart. I come to you every week and talk about the writing that I posted on my website and social media for the week, and tell you a little bit more about the background and how I felt writing it and what spurred me to write it. And I share this with you on these live videos. This week, my writing was called 40 Minutes on the 40th Floor. And this is a true story. I chuckle at myself because I couldn't make this stuff up. Every detail of this story is the truth, and how it happened is true, how it ended is true, and so all of my writings are true stories about me, my own life, things I have experienced, things I have witnessed, or sometimes it's a snippet of a phrase that I overhear that it lodges in my mind and I can't get it out, and I try to relate it to life in my world and your world, and I usually write about it. But this one was an experience I had a couple years ago. I was in Las Vegas just for a fun trip, didn't have any speaking engagements, didn't have any commitments, just there for fun. And I was going from my room, my hotel room, down to the lobby to meet my husband. And I had a Starbucks chai latte that I had just about finished, and I grabbed that cup and went and got on the elevator. And when the elevator opened, there was just one other man on it, and so I jumped in. I was on the 50-something floor, and very high in Vdara is where we were staying in Las Vegas. And so I jumped in the elevator thinking it would be just a quick zip right down to meet my husband. And all of a sudden we heard this noise in the elevator. And I remember saying to this man, that doesn't sound good. And you know, when you get in an elevator, you know how you do the elevator greeting? You kind of make eye contact for a second, then you kind of look down or look around. And I assess people as to how chatty they are. Because I am a speaker, I love to talk, I never shut up, according to some people, and some other people are not quite like that. And I had assessed pretty quickly that my elevator partner was pretty quiet. I was probably his worst nightmare to be in an elevator with because I'm chatty. So I had already assessed that he was pretty quiet, and probably just the elevator greeting of eye contact and then minding my own business was what he wanted. So when we heard this noise, I said, "Oh, that doesn't sound very good." And he kind of, looked at me like, probably no big deal. And so we went on a few more floors, and all of a sudden the elevator jerked, so this big jerk, another big noise, and it stopped on the 40th floor. I have been stuck in an elevator one other time in my life, and was not excited about it then and was not excited about it this time. Again, I was probably this man's worst nightmare to be stuck in an elevator with because I was chatty and he wasn't. And so he did the appropriate thing. He looked at the panel and it said press in case of an emergency, because we realized it wasn't starting right away. We realized there was a problem. He pressed the button, and the button called, I think, the desk of Vdara. And we got a recording, and the recording said, "Thank you for calling Vdara. All of our people are busy," that kind of a greeting. And we thought, at first we thought that's kind of funny. We're stuck in the elevator, we've called the emergency button, we pushed the emergency button, and they're busy. And we were thinking, and it said it would answer our call in order that it was received. And I thought, but this is the emergency line. Shouldn't they just, answer the emergency line first? So it was kind of funny at first. And then what happened, if you've ever been stuck in an elevator, you know this, it gets hot very quickly. And it happened. It got hot very quickly. And with only two of us in there, it was really hot. And I kept thinking of all the times I have squished into an elevator full of people. And if that elevator had been filled, like some elevators I've been in, it would have been unbearable. It was almost unbearable very quickly just for the two of us and the heat of it. And I started to think about how much I don't like drinking water. I'm not a big water drinker. It's not a good thing. I know it's healthy for you. And I started to think how important water was, especially there in this little enclosed box and the heat. And I had by now my empty Starbucks cup. Another lesson I learned is that little things matter. When you're stuck in an elevator and you think it's only going to be a few minutes and time starts passing and you realize this could turn into a long ordeal. And what are the little things that you need? Water would have been great, but I also realized I had just finished my grande chai latte from Starbucks and would probably need a restroom soon. And this was not going to be fun stuck in the elevator, but I had my empty cup and I thought, as funny as that sounds, really, I can't make this up. As funny as that sounds, that crossed my mind. Well, I've got an empty cup, so little things do matter. I also realized very quickly, all these lessons that I learned stuck in the elevator, is that you can make friends with strangers. And although my new friend on the elevator wasn't the chatty type, I realized we needed to talk and we needed to be friends, because who knew how long we were going to be there, especially since nobody was answering our emergency call. And we realized nobody knew we were there. And how could they? I mean, there's a lot of elevators in these big Las Vegas hotels, and so just because one doesn't come down, nobody pays attention that it's malfunctioning or not working. They just get on the next elevator. So we became friends pretty quickly and started talking, and I really did try to temper my chattiness so that I didn't irritate him too much. I realized another lesson, that it's all communication. Everything in life is communication. I've written a blog about this, but if we can't get through to the emergency button, so nobody knew we were there, we were stranded, we didn't know how we were going to communicate. I had tried to send my husband a text, and the texts were not going out because we were in this metal box. We were in this elevator. So he was not getting my text, and I knew he was probably down in the lobby getting borderline irritated at me for being late and wondering why, and why I wasn't answering my phone, because that wasn't working. And really in life, all of us just want to be heard. We want to be seen and heard and realize that we are important. Well, when you are trapped in a metal box, nobody knows you're there. Nobody's hearing your calls for help. Nobody is seeing that you're stranded. And we don't feel important enough, and we're stuck. So I realized the lesson again verified to me how important communication is. I suddenly tried to call my husband again on the phone, and for some reason that went through. And I started blubbering out the story. We're stuck, and this is the elevator number that we're in, and we're on the 40th floor, and we've been here for quite a while, and the emergency button is not working. And so he said, okay, he tried to keep me on, but the call didn't stay on for very long. And he ran and found management people and security people, and so he was kind of our salvation for that one moment that I was lucky enough for the cell phone to work. My new friend in the elevator realized that my phone worked, so he tried to call his wife. And when he got her, he said, yeah, we'll be okay as long as the elevator doesn't drop 40 floors. I thanked him for that, because that visual had not crossed my mind. And when he said that, suddenly it crossed my mind in a very frightening way. And so I tried to stay calm about that, and we had a little conversation about that. Another lesson I learned is the what ifs make you crazy. When he said that, and I thought, well, what if that does happen? That made me crazy. What if we stay here, we're stuck here for hours? What if they never know we're here? And then when I realized my husband had found help, but what if it took hours for them to get us out of here? I mean, the what ifs can really make you crazy. And I realized that. And it was 40 minutes. Of course, we're timing it. And when you are stuck in an elevator, a minute seems like an hour. So it could have been 40 hours to us, because the heat was unbearable. We were both thirsty. We were both probably in need of a restroom. We were both getting a little frightened of the what ifs. And we were both ready to get out of there. So what ifs can make you crazy. It was 40 minutes, and all of a sudden we could hear people suddenly banging on something out there. And pretty soon the door opened, and the door opened, but the door was way up here, like way up here. So we could see the crack, and we were way down here. So the floor of the hotel lobby floor on the 40th floor was way up high, and the floor of our elevator was way down low. So I had to put my arms up, and people pulled me up by my arms up through that crack to get me out. And then I was standing on the 40th floor hallway. And I realized that it was a big story to me. I mean, I had never been stuck that long. I had never been quite that frightened in an elevator. And it was quite a big story. There was a lot of people hustling around us. They had water for us. Security people and hotel people were there. My husband was there. Everyone very worried for a while. And then I realized it's only a story for a moment. And then life moves on to something else. It really is only important for a moment. And although every minute of those 40 minutes went so slowly for us, and it was kind of a big deal for us, as soon as we were out, it was a whirlwind, and I was back in my room, sitting on the couch in my room, looking at my husband, and it was done. It was past, and it was like, what just happened? It was just over with so quick, and then it wasn't a story anymore. I also realized that you do have to get back on the horse, or in my case, back in the elevator. And when I say I can't make this stuff up, this is absolutely the truth. I went back down the next time to go down the elevator, and I pushed that button thinking there's no way I can do 40 flights, or 50 some. We were on the 53rd floor, something like that. I can't do those flights of stairs, so I have to get on the elevator. And I am absolutely honest in saying it was the exact same elevator that opened. And I stood there looking at that elevator like I was not too excited to get back in the same elevator. And then that little voice said to myself, Penny, what are the odds of that happening again? It's probably pretty slim. Just buck up and get back on the elevator. So I did, and again, this is absolutely the truth. It stopped on the 40th floor. My heart panicked. My heart just about jumped out of my chest. This time I was the only one on the elevator. I didn't have a cup. I wasn't prepared. And I thought, oh, it can't be happening again. And the doors opened, and a nice young couple got on the elevator with me. It crossed my mind that I should tell them the story. And then I thought, no, again, it's only a story for a moment. It's only important to me. It wouldn't have been important to them, other than if they had a fear of elevators, it might have scared them or frightened them, and I didn't want to do that. So I just kept my story to myself. I got back on that horse. I got back in the elevator, made it safely to the lobby, and everything was fine. What I realized from this experience is when you have these stories and these experiences that happen to you, the lesson is in how you carry the story and what you do with it and how you replay it in your mind. Can it become a phobia that I would never get on an elevator again? Does it become something you never stop talking about? Does it become something that becomes you? I know some people have traumatic experiences in their life and they can't get past it, and that is their story every day of their life. And, you know, that's sad too. We've all had that kind of stuff happen in our life. But my 40 minutes on the 40th floor was an eye-opening experience. It taught me a lot of lessons. That's why I wrote this writing, and I share it with you. I would love to hear if you have stories about being stuck in an elevator, because it's an interesting experience to have. I thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a grand day. I'm Penny Hunt. Thanks for watching.